Greetings, gentle. A question. What frightens an insecure male most? Answer. A secure and educated female. Recent events in Nigeria have brought this home in a very cross way. For centuries, patriarchy has ruled the roost, but in modern times it hangs by a thread. In the West, institutional creep has been slowly but inexorably allowing the female access to the levels of power. And meanwhile, the remaining traditional societies have been on the sidelines watching, waiting, wondering what it means for them. Our position all along has been consistent. Provided the female's advance was due to their assimilating certain male attributes, then it was to be encouraged. All humans, when push comes to shove, are monsters. This is elementary. But men, at the core, are violent monsters. And violence brings death, and death kills hope. That is why men, or at least the spirit of men, must ultimately rule. Now, the fact that these impulses might find representation in the form of a female from time to time is of no consequence. In fact, it may be a plus as it satisfies the creature's misguided craving for progress and social justice. But so long as these rising females are trained to understand violence to be desirable and necessary in order to achieve their aims, they do us no harm. However, if they gain access to power preaching values antithetical to ours, and by the way, men's, then we must pause. You see, violence, or its promise of, has limits. Witness the gobsmacking leer and nonsense of one Abu Shikau, leader of the Nigerian Islamist extremist group known as Boko Haram. This creature seeks to turn back the clock to a time which never even existed in the Muslim world. Evidence shows that Islam's founder, Muhammad, peace be upon him, wished to make sensible use of women and not violently control or subjugate them. I mean, one of his wives was a scholar and a jurist, for hell's sake. How the current crop of Islamic extremists came to champion female subjugation despite historical evidence, I'm afraid we do bear some responsibility. But is the purpose of our training to produce such a clumsy, vulgar, inarticulate fool such as Abu Shikau and his witless followers? I think not. Where is the subtle craft, the artful execution so painstakingly taught at the college, which enables tempters to teach their patients to present virtue to the outside world while concealing the devil within? Shikau's tempter, who shall go unnamed, should be, and hopefully will be, shamed throughout the underworld for nurturing this crass little Frankenstein. We would all do well to remember that our work is not to prevail in the occasional battle with the enemy, but to win a war. Clumsy events such as the kidnapping of females in Nigeria can have the effect of rousing the complacent masses of the West from their materialistic, self-serving stupor to come to the aid of those less fortunate. And in this case, that is exactly what has happened. To wit, the world of social media has gone mad to rescue these Nigerian girls. Incessant Facebooking and tweeting abound. Hashtag bring back our girls and hashtag real men don't buy girls and the like. It's galvanizing myriad societies to once again scrutinize the role of the female and its progress. And let us be frank, gentles, in this media instance, it is not a fair fight. In one corner you have the brute Abu Shikau, blathering on about how Allah, peace be upon him, is willing him to profit from his victim's misery. In the other corner you have something like that detestable Malala girl. You know, the one who has become an absolute cancer to our cause, spreading humility, patience, courage, and hope to females worldwide ever since the day she was shot in the face by the Taliban. Peace be upon them, too. All this to what effect? Male aggression is once again put on trial. Never mind the vileness of this particular Islamic strain and the relative insignificance to the question of male aggression as a whole. You can't expect nuance of argument in a world of tweets. What we can expect are new female roles to emerge inspired by the likes of Malala and the helpless Nigerian girls now blanketing the internet. These emerging role models will no doubt speak with undeniable courage and counsel steadfastness of purpose, while foregoing the usual pleasures of retribution and self-righteousness. The whole thing will stink of Gandhi and Martin Luther King, two of the greatest traitors in the history of man to the male ethos. It wasn't long ago that the female held promise, you know. Ayn Rand, Margaret Thatcher, the Iron Lady, and even that cartoonish lipstick on a pig person, Palin. All worthy and fully prepared to put a bullet in the eye of the opposition. The best we can show at this point are female-leaning, watered-down creatures like the German Chancellor Merkel or that American Hillary Clinton. Another thing we can expect is that siren call of education for girls at the cost of investment in military solutions and hardware. More educated girls mean less children, and most importantly, less male children. Remember, it has been the young male's ultimate unemployment and rudderless lives in an increasingly roboticized, globalized economy that has been our best weapon in destabilizing the planet and fomenting pointless rebellions. Think of the Middle East, of Africa, and increasingly Europe, and consider what horrors future Malala-like policymakers will deliver. Unemployment got you down. Well, perhaps we valued a job too highly, a Malala type might plea. Must a person's value be predicated on such tenuous circumstances? We must change the status quo and remove all stigmas attached to the unemployed. We will create a volunteer society, a place where one's value is measured not by a job that good fortune has provided the lucky few with, but by a person's willingness to commit to something that looks beyond the self and to the good of the global community. We will not always agree on strategy, but will always be guided out of a love and respect for life and the absolute maxim that no one shall hurt another's children. Disaster. Now that I have fully depressed you with this dystopic vision of the future, we should bear in mind that the female is a far cry from a saint. It will be incumbent upon us to exploit every vulnerability they possess, and believe you me, there are more than a few. Their cattiness, their vanity, their pettiness, their social gaming, etc., all exceed the male's. And while it seems unlikely that they will ever create policies that entail murdering one another wholesale. Given enough time in leadership, who knows what they might do instead? There are things worse, after all, than suffering violent death. That is all.